Hey, welcome to this Fred Talk. Today we are joined by founder Katy of the personal care brand Luna-Daily.com, talking about the story behind the brand and how it became first in their sector to choose zero carbon packaging for all web orders placed on Luna-Daily.com. So welcome to the Fred Talk, Katy, and yeah, great to have you here with me.
Thank you very much for having me. Lovely to be here.
Tell me the story, because we met before, didn't we, at London Packaging Innovations, and yeah, it was great to finally meet you. You'd already talked to one of my colleagues, and yeah, give me a bit about the story, because we didn't get a full chance, in a brief 15 minutes at a show, to talk about, you and the kind of story behind the brand.
Yeah, of course. If I think back to when Luna Daily started for me, it was when I was 19. And I'd been traveling in India volunteering, and I came back and I was really quite unwell. And so I was put on a course of quite intensive antibiotics for 6 weeks. And for anybody that's been on antibiotics, it sort of strips your body of both good and bad bacteria. That's how they work. And the result of that was that I got really bad thrush. Now, I was 19 at the time, and I remember feelings of embarrassment, confusion, shame, which is mad really, because actually three out of 4 women will experience thrush at some point. And I had to engage with a category which is still known today as the feminine hygiene category. And I put it in inverted commas because even the name of the category implies that something is dirty and needs to be cleaned. And it's still today, 15 years later, a really stigmatized, embarrassed, confusing category for women. I created Luna Daily because I didn't want to have to use specific feminine hygiene products, but I also couldn't use traditional shower gels or soaps. What we then did is conducted research. We've conducted research with 1,000 women of all different ages, stages, and skin types. And to be honest, the results were quite shocking, really. More than 80% of women can't actually accurately label their intimate skin and their intimate anatomy, mostly because 87% of them weren't taught at school. The result of that is that 1 in 3 women are still washing the inside of their vagina, even though it's completely self-cleaning. And for 43% of women, their washing routines are causing them to have a gynae issue. Fast forward to today, and I suppose today our mission is to make products for and conversations about all of womanhood as natural as they should be for women of all ages and stages. And we're starting by taking on the feminine hygiene category. But as well as sort of trying to revolutionize products for women, we really want to change the conversation. So providing resources and education for women, busting myths that lots of women have about their intimate skin, as well as trying to normalize the conversation around the vulva so it becomes as normal as every other part of our body as it should be.
There's a nice slogan that you've been using, which I love. Was it the head, vulva, knees, and toes? Right?
Yeah.
But even I'm, I've got used to saying it too. So you converted me over, Katy.
Well, it also came from real insight that actually we know that because people aren't taught about it at school, it's still not compulsory on the education system, and often therefore we don't talk about it. We learn every other part of our body through nursery rhyme, but unfortunately, anatomical parts of women are often not spoken about and forgotten. Therefore, so head, vulva, knees and toes is a way that everybody can relate to it because everybody can imagine the song, but also it just places the vulva as normal as your head, your shoulders, your knees or your toes.
This probably isn't the link to how did you hear about Lil. That is normally discussed. You said you actually had already heard of Lil and been recommended to us, right? So how did that come about?
Probably because I've worked, spent most of my career working in the beauty wellness industry. So most recently I was at Charlotte Tilbury, obviously one of your customers. So it wasn't just your size as to why I've heard of you, because there's lots of big packaging companies out there. I came across you because of your other credentials. And then it was through meeting you, supported by your credentials, that really made me want to work with you guys.
Yeah, I think it was like a colliding planets of passion, wasn't it? Me being the kind of packaging geek I am, and you're clearly passionate about what you do, and it's.
Well, I'm also a bit of a secret packaging geek as well.
I say it pays to be a packaging geek. The thousands and thousands that can be saved if you can make something a little bit faster to pack in a box. Anyway, I'm delighted you chose Lil Packaging, Katy. I really am, because I can see really good things for not just the business growth, but actually what you're trying to do for the market.
There was lots of things that went into consideration. I think first and foremost, the fact that from a brand credential perspective, being as natural as possible is really important to us. So in all of our products, we only use natural and necessary ingredients that have a really sustainable and transparent supply chain. And so that was really important. So when you see our outer packaging, You'll see that they're beautiful natural craft boxes. They're using, we use plant-based inks, we use recyclable materials. Actually, if you place the box, you rip it up and you put some water in it, just in your soil outside in the garden, it will just naturally decompose. And so from kind of a natural perspective, that was one element which was really important. The second thing is that you guys as people, that I am a true believer that business can be a force for good. And I want Luna Daily to be that business, but I also want all of our suppliers and partners to be that business. And from everything from all of the work you're doing around carbon offsetting to the materials you use, but also to your approach in terms of supporting the local economy. So lots of companies now are sourcing materials much farther afield than you guys, and you've made the decision to not do commercial shortcuts and to keep things local, not just for the economy, but also for the environment. So for us, actually, it was quite an easy decision to make. You know what? These arrived yesterday. So sneak peek.
Oh, nice.
These are our gorgeous boxes. And I suppose the other thing is that this is the first thing most consumers will ever see about our brand. Before they even open it and see the product inside, they see this. And so this being a true reflection of our brand. So we've got gorgeous here. And then this is probably my favorite side. So this is the packaging geek in me saying it's my favorite side. But on the back, you can see we've got all the credentials. So to be able to say that we have the carbon zero packaging, that we're using eco inks, that it's biodegradable, that it's sustainable. And then the fact that when you open it up, actually, it's the first thing that consumers see of everything else.
And credit where it's due, Katie. I mean, your team were actually really conscious of using minimal material too, as in, even on the ink side, I'm sure your customers appreciate that's a really clever, what looks like 3-color artwork using just actually blue and white, and then the actual natural color of the craft material or the recycled craft material to actually make it look like a brown word of naturally. Also, it was your team that said, actually, no, let's make a bigger prominence of the whole recycled credentials, a zero carbon packaging piece. That's why you chose to be the first in the world in your personal care market to choose zero carbon packaging. And I applaud you for that, because it takes businesses and brands and owners to make that conscious effort to go in that direction.
On that, like I'm so proud to be able to say that we are the world's first personal care brand that is using zero carbon packaging, and I'm so proud of you guys for achieving that, because actually I'm taking credit for a lot of your hard work throughout the supply chain end to end. But what I will say is that being sustainable is not a competition, and yes, it's amazing that we're first, but what I'm hoping by us doing it and proving that as a small challenger brand, if we can do it, then other much bigger brands can do it as well. I think it's really important that as much as we congratulate ourselves, and I'm really proud of what we've done, actually what I care most about is being honest, transparent, and continuing to try and do better.
I know that everyone's got a bugbear about sustainability, right? And I guess that's exactly yours, the lack of transparency. And I think, again, that's where there's, we're aligned with our own values on that one. I always like to ask this anyone on our Fred Talk. If you could sum up your experience of dealing with Lil in only 3 words, what would that be?
Oh, it's actually quite easy. People that care.
That's actually that's really quite touching. I appreciate that, because I feel similarly, exactly the same about your business too, Katie. That's why I can see such good things for you, because actually it's a motivated team that can feel that they can make a difference. And I think, again, that's where our kind of values are aligned. Hopefully that's a good way of wrapping it up. And Katie, thanks so much for your time. Honestly, I really appreciate you coming on this Fred Talk. And yeah, wish you and your team all the best, and now happy.
Great. Thank you so much, Fred. It's been an absolute pleasure.